Ladies and gentlemen, we have our first presentation coming your way by Praveen Srinivasan, Enterprise Sales Leader, Retail and Growth, Microsoft. Over to Praveen for his presentation and insightful thoughts.
Thank you and good afternoon. I'm going to talk about how retailers transform in the era of today's fashion, right? And I'm going to concentrate on retail because that's the customer-facing part of fashion. I'm going to spend about 10 minutes talking about some of the trends, what we're seeing with customers worldwide, how some of these challenges are being solved as well, and maybe some food for thought for the panel that's going to follow, which can then take up some of these discussions in a little more detail. Because retail has been transforming for many, many years. We've been seeing retail transform for the last 100+ years. And you'll see a lot of marquee names out here, starting with, if you go a little back, 15, 20 years, you start to see the iPhone becoming an event important enough to change retail. You start to see catalogs being sent home. You start to see Amazon, obviously, bringing up a lot of online. And this change has been consistently going day after day. And this transformation continues. Today, your customers are looking for experiences when they get into the store. They're looking for trans-channel experiences. It doesn't matter whether they're coming online, offline, when they're in the store. They're expecting a consistent experience. They're expecting to be told and get to know what they need to know. Not just in terms of what the product is, but what it can do for them. So it's a very, very different world out there. And from a retail perspective, you suddenly start to see that the customer journey gets extremely complex. And this slide is complex for a reason, because this journey is very complex. Now, you've probably seen versions of this before. You probably know it from your own retail experiences as well. The moment the customer comes into experience zone with your shop, online, offline, whichever format it is, to the time they get to see what the products are, they get to experience them, they get to try them in a certain set of cases, and then they get to buy them, and it doesn't end there. Your experience with the customer is post-purchase. How do you keep them involved? How do you get them back into your store? How do you get them to give you positive word of mouth? How do you do all of that as well? But two things in this slide, and the first is obviously very complex, and there are a lot of touch points here that retail has transformed over the last few years. And that's something a lot of you are looking at. How do you change the experience at any of these touch points? But there's another point about this, and that the direction of the arrow is one way. There doesn't seem to be a feedback loop. And why is that critical? Because when your customer buys, purchases, and then walks out, it is critical that you get the feedback from that customer and feed it back to the beginning. Because have they got the right experience? Have they got the right product? Have they got the right supply? Have they got the right experience? That needs to be fed back into your R&D, back to your drawing boards, so that you can then change. So that's the feedback loop that is critical. And when you look at that feedback loop, there are three parts to your retail business that are critical to look at. And these are these three. There's delight your customers, there's increasing your employee productivity, right? And the third part is optimizing your own operations. Now, each one has a different impact on the business. Delighting your customers, obviously, you're retaining more customers, you're growing your customer base, you're acquiring more customers. When you start to optimize your operations, then you reduce cost, you reduce risk, you start to create more profits. And finally, when your employees are a lot more productive, your customer experience also goes up. So if you look at from a customer perspective, I know omni-channel is a very used term, but how do you implement it in the boundaries of your organization? What is omni-channel to you? What is it that you want to do with omni-channel? Who are these customers who are coming into your location, online or offline? Who are the customers who are not coming into it? Who are the customers that you want to get in? What do you know about them? Are they the right set of customers you want to target? Are they the right set of customers for your business? All of this is around data. And you need data not just from your own experience, what you've done in the last 10 years, but also what's happening out there from social media, from a whole lot of, from your customer contact centers, from your sales force. All of that data needs to be captured, analyzed, and predicted. And then you can come up with a strategy on how you can definitely look at the right set of customers, attracting the right set of customers. If you put down a marketing campaign, are you going after the right set of customers? Unless you have that data, unless that's been analyzed, that may be a shot in the dark. So first part is, how do you actually transform the way you look at your customers? It is extremely critical. This is possibly as critical as the first one. And in the retail industry, we all know at the shop level, at the front end level, what we call the first line workers, attrition obviously is a big problem. But that's not your only problem. How do you ensure that the person who comes on board knows the products, knows what is expected of him or her, knows how to talk to customers, knows how to handle customer objections, knows how to escalate when necessary, and there are obviously irate customers as well. How do you ensure that your employees have the right tools, using technology as much as possible? How do they have the right information at their fingertips? And how do they know what to experience or what to get at their fingertips when they need it? And this is not an easy thing, because when you look at 1 in 2 customers or 1 in 3 of your employees actually churning every month, that's really, really difficult to do. However, the more you invest in their employees and the more you use technology to ensure they're as productive as possible, you'll actually see some of this attrition drop, because they start to get much better at their job, they're happier in what they do. And this directly impacts the end customer experience. It incredibly increases how much your customers like coming into the store, online and offline. And then finally, this is the third part. How do you optimize your operations? And this can mean a whole range of things. How do you ensure that the right inventory is at the right store? How do you know that between online and offline, you've got the right inventory levels? How do you know which customers are buying what kind of SKUs, right? How do you ensure that from the time an order is placed to the time it's restocked in your inventory is as short as possible? How do you ensure that your suppliers also know what you are doing, what is your forecasting, and they're able to stock up along with that? How do you ensure something as simple as a collaboration tool within your organization is the most effective and the tool that can be used to produce the best results? And that's optimizing the operation. So it's not just IT operations, it's across the chain. What are your operations and how you can look at them? And these three, in short, at a very high level, is what we see as retailers across the globe reinventing themselves, changing their processes, investing in tools to ensure that they get a better employee experience, they get a better customer experience, their employee productivity goes up, and finally, and most importantly, you optimize your operations, so you're getting better customers, you're having better profits, and that's retail reimagined. So that's pretty much what we wanted to talk about. I hopefully left some food for thought for the panel, so I'm going to make you guys come up again on stage. Thank you.